During World War II, a groundbreaking and lesser-known chapter of history unfolded as women took to the skies, defying traditional gender roles and proving themselves in combat and support missions. Across multiple nations, women pilots became a crucial part of the war effort, showing that courage, skill, and patriotism knew no gender. In the United States, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, or WASPs, were formed in 1942 to free male pilots for combat duty by taking on non-combat aviation tasks. The WASPs flew planes to military bases, towed targets for live ammunition practice, and tested aircraft. Despite their invaluable contributions, they faced immense challenges, including discrimination and the struggle for recognition. The WASPs were not classified as military personnel, meaning they did not receive the same benefits or recognition as their male counterparts. The Soviet Union, however, took a more progressive stance. The Soviet Union's need for pilots was dire after the invasion by Nazi Germany, and women were trained in large numbers to fight in combat roles. Among the most famous were the Night Witches, a group of female pilots who flew harrowing nighttime missions. These women pilots, primarily aged 17 to 26, flew small, outdated biplanes that were barely capable of defending themselves. Yet, they became feared by German soldiers for their stealthy tactics. Their planes would cut the engine just before reaching enemy targets, gliding silently to drop bombs and then restarting the engine as they flew away. The Night Witches were credited with 23,000 sorties and more than 800 enemy vehicles destroyed, all while facing intense dangers from enemy fire and mechanical failures. The story of these women is a testament to their resilience, skill, and determination. In the midst of war, when survival was uncertain, these women became part of a groundbreaking wave of female military aviators who challenged societal norms. Many of them joined the military out of a sense of patriotism and a desire to contribute to the defense of their nations, often in roles that had previously been reserved for men. In Britain, the Air Transport Auxiliary, ATA, was established to ferry aircraft from factories to airfields across the UK. While both men and women were recruited for this work, women made up a significant portion of the pilots. Women like Dorothy Mary Doughty and Helen Gwynne Vaughan demonstrated exceptional skill in ferrying all types of aircraft, from small trainers to massive bombers, often flying under perilous weather conditions. Though they were doing essential work, these women faced societal pushback. Many were told that women didn't belong in the cockpit and that aviation was a man's job. Yet, their resolve only grew stronger. With minimal training, they performed duties that were critical to maintaining the air war effort. Their courage was not just in the flights they made, but in their determination to break the barriers of the time. One of the most iconic figures among these women was Jacqueline Cochran, who became the first woman to fly a bomber across the Atlantic Ocean and was instrumental in the creation of the WASPs. Her personal determination, combined with her aviation expertise, made her a key figure in the effort to recruit women pilots. For the Soviet women, particularly the Night Witches, their role was one of pure combat. The story of their remarkable ability to strike fear into the hearts of Nazi soldiers has become legendary. They were fiercely independent, often working together as close-knit units and enduring extreme hardship. Many of them, like Marina Raskova, were highly skilled pilots before the war, and their devotion to their country and comrades was unquestionable. Their ability to execute complex maneuvers and precise attacks, despite flying outdated aircraft and dealing with limited supplies, made them icons in Soviet history. The Japanese also employed female pilots, but their roles were different. While Japan was not as progressive in using women in combat, it did have female aviators in secondary roles. In 1941, the Japanese established the Women's Air Reserve, but they were mostly tasked with logistical work rather than combat flying. This marked a sharp contrast with the Soviet and American models, where women were fighting in the skies. The experience of women pilots during World War II also highlighted the changing role of women in society. Before the war, aviation was considered a male-dominated field, with women restricted to support roles. But the war shattered these expectations. Women proved themselves as competent, brave, and capable as their male counterparts. The skill set of these women ranged from precision bombing to evasive maneuvers, often in challenging weather conditions. These feats not only helped defeat the Axis powers, but also paved the way for greater opportunities for women in the military and in aviation post-war. Yet, for many of these women, their service ended abruptly after the war. When the conflict finished, the contributions of women pilots were often overlooked, with many returning to civilian life with little recognition for their service. In the United States, the WASPs were disbanded in 1944, and it wasn't until 1977 that they were granted veteran status. The Soviet Night Witches were similarly underappreciated by their government until much later, when their heroism was acknowledged by the Russian military in the 2000s. The stories of these women are a powerful reminder of the untold contributions of women in wartime, and of the bravery it took to challenge the gender norms of the time. Their legacy goes beyond the cockpit, symbolizing the broader struggle for gender equality and the breaking of barriers that persisted far beyond the war years. The pilots of the WASPs, the Night Witches, and other women who served in World War II paved the way for future generations of women in aviation, challenging the world's perception of what women could achieve. Their courage, skill, and determination left an indelible mark on history, and their stories are an inspiration for those who continue to break boundaries today. The historical narrative of World War II is often focused on male soldiers, but these women pilots, whose bravery and contributions were invaluable, remind us of the critical role women played in shaping the course of the war. They were the pioneers who helped secure the skies, and in doing so, they changed the future of both aviation and gender roles in the military.